Let's go live to Victoria now. The Victorian Opposition Leader John Pesutto would have been listening to some of that interview, and he joins us live now as well. John Pesutto, great to see you. One of the points that Peter Beattie just made, that the Commonwealth Games on the Gold Coast cost about $1 billion. Birmingham cost $1.5 billion. Why on earth would the Victorian Com Games cost upwards of $7 billion?
Because Daniel Andrews would have been in charge. Laura, there's a sorry tale of project blowouts, event blowouts in Victoria as long as your arm. This is a massive humiliation, not just for the Victorian people. Daniel Andrews and Jacinta, Allan, Laura, have embarrassed the nation on the world stage. And the incompetence and dysfunction of the Andrews government is on full display before the world. We committed to this project, and I've said, Laura, that whatever your view on the Com Games, we committed to it. Daniel Andrews, in our name, committed to host these games. As you rightly point out, the Gold Coast, Birmingham, were able to deliver the games at a very modest price. But I guess it's no surprise that with projects blowing out in Victoria by over $30 billion, it's no surprise, I guess, that the numbers are so inflated now. But we're going to press as hard as we can, Laura, on behalf of all of our viewers and the Victorian and Australian people, to get to the bottom of this debacle. This truly is a fiasco which will cost Victoria, not just in terms of investment, but in terms of future global events wanting to be hosted here. And as Craig Phillips said yesterday, quite correctly, people will think twice about accepting a bid from the Victorian government.
Look, we just had Kylie Tink on the program that suggested this was a pork barrelling move to win an election in regional seats.
It absolutely was, and I would say about Daniel Andrews and his government, it's the dodgiest government in Australia. And I say that because they've gone to every election, 2014, 2018, 2022, based on lies. They promised that they would deliver these games. They got regional Victoria very excited about the investments that would be made in sporting infrastructure, housing and other related services, public transport and the like. And it was all a con. And what we're seeing, Laura, is more than just the debacle around the Commonwealth Games under Daniel Andrews and Jacinta Allan. What we're really seeing now is that the Andrews project is in fact pretty much a fraud. All of it is. You now have to ask the same questions about costings around the suburban rail loop. For our viewers, I know we're talking to a national audience. It's a $200 billion project without a proper business case.
Yeah, I wanted to ask you about that. So let me do that. $200 billion for this suburban rail loop, and take us through that. That also, went through key Labor electorates, or was planned to go through key Labor electorates. Economists say it just doesn't stack up. So what have the answers been from the government? Are they still pushing ahead with this? What's the justification?
It's insanity that the government is pressing on without a proper business case. And Laura, it's not just me saying that. The respected Grattan Institute is saying that this project should be paused. Now, again, if he can't deliver the Commonwealth Games because of a cost blowout, how is he supposed to deliver the SRL? And again, for our viewers, the same questions about the suburban rail loop have to be now asked about the SEC, which is the government's reinstatement, if you like, of a power generator in Victoria, which has no business case to it, no funding allocated to it. You have to ask the same questions now about other major projects which are blowing out, and its childcare package of $9 billion. So what I'm really saying, Laura, for our viewers is that Daniel Andrews and his colleagues have gone to every election based on lies, it now seems. And what's happening really is that the truth is catching up with them. And the Andrews project, if I can call it that, is proving to be one big con on the Victorian people.
If you were Premier, John, what would be an acceptable amount to spend on the Commonwealth Games? Because cynically, Daniel Andrews linked this spending to ripping money out of schools, hospitals and roads. That is a dangerous argument, because that argument means that you'd never spend any money on the arts or sport. But what do you think is a comfortable amount to spend on these games?
Yeah, look, Laura, I think that something in the realm of what Birmingham paid, which was just shy of $2 billion, why are we being told just now that it's $7 billion? And again, for the benefit of our viewers around the country, just 7 weeks ago in this place, I'm standing on the steps of the Victorian Parliament, Daniel Andrews delivered a budget and it had costings for the Commonwealth Games at about $2.6 billion. So in the last 7 weeks, it's now apparently escalated to around $7 billion. So I think looking at the models of earlier games, this could have been delivered modestly.
John, just quickly, you said you're going to get to the bottom of this. How do you propose to do that, and what are you exactly talking about? Are you talking about the cost or the bid for it in the first place, and whether that they expected to follow through with it?
Everything, Laura, everything now has to be on the table, because we need to know how and against what process was the bid made and accepted, who provided the costings, what pressure did Daniel Andrews and his ministers put on public servants to make this work. And I think what's happened is the whole system has come apart because simply the truth had to come out. So we're looking at a wide range of inquiries, a parliamentary inquiry in the very least, but possibly other agencies of government, whether it's the Auditor General, the Ombudsman, or possibly the Anti-Corruption Commission, depending on what we find.
The Anti-Corruption Commission?
Oh, absolutely, because we're very concerned now about costings and pressure being put on public servants, what kind of practices were involved here, because this is pretty outrageous when you think about it, Laura. A little over a year ago, the Andrews government announced the Commonwealth Games would be held in regional Victoria. Ever since then, you could have a pile of press releases, right, spruiking the Commonwealth Games and the benefits, and then all of a sudden, with no real notice, we're told it's off. Something has gone very badly here in the state of Victoria, and I'm not saying that we know precisely what it is, but we're joining the dots now, and this doesn't make sense. And there have been some kind of cover-up somewhere along the line, because you can't go from a budget that has the Games costed at around $2.6 billion and then be told 7 weeks later that no, it's $7 billion. We're just smelling a rat here.
Well, I hope you do get to the bottom of it. Certainly spark conversation, let's say, if nothing else. Thanks so much for your time. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Laura.